I just recently spent 10 days in a big calorie surplus on vacation. I was eating lots of yummy foods. I even had some drinks. And the worst part is I hardly even worked out. Happy 36th birthday to me. It's safe to say by the end of those 10 days, I was feeling a bit sluggish and definitely looking a little bit soft and fluffy. Like, why does the vacation have to end? And usually the last thing we do when we get back is want to exercise and get back on our diet. And what I call this is the dopamine slump. You've probably experienced this, but why does it happen? Well, let's take a look at it this way. Imagine your workout routines as well as healthy eating routines at home like a trail, that after weeks and weeks of walking along the same trail, you really familiarize yourself with it, you get to know the ins and outs of it. Again, this is an example of what your normal healthy routines and habits look like. Now imagine getting off of that trail and going on vacation. What you're doing is changing the scenery of just a nice, moderate hiking trail to now getting on a roller coaster where you're sitting strapped in and definitely very overstimulated. Now on a chemical level in your brain, this is actually what's happening. You're overstimulating all of these dopamine receptors. And these dopamine receptors is your body's natural way of rewarding yourself and your source of motivation. But when you release too much dopamine in a short amount of time, this can obviously lead to what I call that dopamine slump. Now the good news is your dopamine receptors can actually be reset. Research actually shows that it can take up to 90 days to reset these receptors, and it's important to know that your dopamine has a natural baseline. That is just a healthy amount of dopamine that you get from everyday healthy habits. Now, before we get into this, I do want to say, if you have a drug or alcohol dependence or addiction, seeking clinical help is definitely advised. And this video is probably not for you, as serious forms of drug and alcohol withdrawal usually require medical supervision and care. But with that being said, these are the things that I almost always do if I've gone a week or so being off of my routine. So let's start with what I'm eating and drinking. Hey friends, real quick, before we dive into this video, I want to quick tell you about the sponsor of the video, which is Element. They're a tasty electrolyte drink mix, and with every 10 calorie packet that won't break your fast, there's an epic science-backed ratio of electrolytes, which is 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, as well as 60 milligrams of magnesium. There's no junk in it, there's no sugar, there's no gluten, there's no fillers, there's no BS. And it is one of the most amazing things I drink just about every single day to fuel my workouts, to rehydrate, to get amazing mental performance, especially if you clicked on this video because you're trying to get back on track. Well, one of the best things you can do is replenish your electrolytes. So I would highly recommend Element. I've linked them below in the description. Do yourself a favor and check them out. Right now, Element is offering my listeners a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single serving packets free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com/BryanAdamC. This deal is only available through my link, so you must go to drinklmnt.com/BryanAdamC. So these first few days of getting back on track are very important. So I'm going to start by taking days 1 through 7 and utilize fasting as well as a calorie deficit to help stimulate my body's natural processes for detoxification, as well as eliminating any additional water retention just from eating in a calorie surplus. And usually when you're eating out on vacation, you're having a much higher sodium intake, and so you're going to be holding on to a bit more water. Now these first few days, keep in mind you're probably going to feel pretty unmotivated, but you have to push through that. Be aware that, hey, I'm just in this slump, but I'm going to push through it, and in a few days I'll feel fine. So let's talk about days 1 through 3. So the first 3 days I'm going to do an extended fast, anywhere between 16 to 18 hours. So I'll stop eating in the evening by around 10 p.m. and then I won't start eating again until maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Now this might be difficult if you're not used to fasting, so see what you can do. Maybe you can do a 12-hour fast from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. or even a 14-hour fast. Just do what you can, because fasting is one of the best ways to give your body a chance to begin that recovery and detoxification process. In addition to fasting, these first 3 days, I'm going to be creating a fairly steep calorie deficit. And I'm keeping in mind here that I know I've been in a calorie surplus for the last maybe week or so. So I'm going to be creating anywhere between a 700 even up to 1,000 calorie deficit for these first 3 days. And honestly, when I do this, it's pretty easy to maintain this steep of a deficit and it really gives my whole digestive system, it gives my whole body a nice break. It's pretty amazing that these two things within the first few days will allow your body to start flushing things. It reduces a lot of the inflammation. You're gonna see your face and your body just shrink back a little bit. And please remember, I'm not trying to sustain this calorie deficit for longer than 3 days. So now let's talk about days 4 through 7. By day 4, you should start to be feeling a little bit better, a little bit more motivated. As well, those extended fasts of 16 to 18 hours are probably gonna be a little bit more difficult to get to at this point. And this is a sign that you can actually increase your food a little bit and you don't have to fast as long. So for days 4 through 7, I'm gonna do a couple more days of maybe 14 to 16 hour fasts, and then a couple days, probably by the weekend, where I'll actually have some meals by mid-morning. Additionally, for these next few days, I'm gonna create a calorie deficit within the range of 300 to 500 calories. So it's definitely not as steep, and this will be much easier to maintain. Now for these first 7 days back on my routine, I will also be abstaining from as many toxins as I can. So I'm gonna be cutting out a lot of the obvious things. I'm not gonna be drinking alcohol or eating a bunch of processed foods or refined sugars or really any other substances or foods that aren't nutritionally beneficial to my body. Now I will say this first week, again, it's gonna be a bit challenging because you're coming off that dopamine slump, so I'm not gonna eat like a robot. There'll be a few nights and a few moments where I'll have a couple treats here and there, but these will be highly moderated. I'll be tracking all of it, and I will not be eating anything in excess. But one thing I for sure will not do is have any booze or something very highly toxic like that. Additionally, within these first 7 days, I'm gonna be making sure I'm drinking plenty of water. This is one of the best ways to flush fluid. Ironically enough, if you drink more fluid, you'll flush more fluid. I'll also be hitting my electrolyte goals. Make sure you check out Element if you're trying to get on your electrolyte game. As well, I'll be hitting my protein goals, and you better believe I'm gonna be eating my favorite superfood, blueberries, as well as plenty of other fruits and vegetables, and those that are higher in antioxidants. Now, with all of this in mind, what you should be aware of is that your body has natural processes for detoxifying itself. The caveat here is that you're not adding new toxins in, such as more booze. So this is why abstaining from those toxins and incorporating a calorie restriction as well as intermittent fasting, hydrating, and eating quality foods rich in antioxidants is going to really help those processes be fully functional. Get off the roller coaster, get back on that old dusty trail. What is this, a Western movie here? So we've talked about what we're eating and drinking, but let's take a look at our physical activity levels and what we can do to start accessing those natural, healthy dopamine levels again. In these first 7 days, what you're really gonna wanna be doing is reestablishing that baseline dopamine that is within a healthy range. So things like exercise and sunlight and getting really good sleep, as well as music and caffeine, can all give you a healthy dose of dopamine. So for me, I jump back into pretty much getting all of these things, and then I also hit my workout routine, which, by the way, if you're interested in getting my workout routine, it's only $8. It's linked below. And usually this first week, I'm hitting this routine at about 80% effort, just because I don't want to just completely deplete my body when it's already feeling tired and sluggish. And one of the things I'm really making sure of is that I'm getting very good sleep every single night. And this is a fantastic way to help recover from a trip or just being off of a routine. Now look, as you work through this first week of getting back on track, the very last thing you want to do is lean into that dopamine slump. Even if it's just getting outside and going for a walk, do a few things that can start to trigger that healthy reward system of dopamine. And I swear to you, the first few days you may not feel much, but once you hit like day 3 and 4, you're gonna start to feel things slowly coming back. And this is why I have to stress the importance of routine around these things. It's a huge reason why I have a huge routine around alcohol, and why I won't just habitually drink it when I'm just here at my house on a week-to-week basis, because in some form I'm going to develop a dependency on that dopamine that I'm getting from that's really going to push me beyond that baseline that I like to be in. And something practical you can do is, once you have some kind of routine, write it down, make it some kind of schedule. Once I mapped out my workout routine, it solidified what I did in terms of strength training and cardio every single week. And also, as you progress through these first few days, take note of how you feel and just pay attention to how your body is reacting to all this, especially from a motivation standpoint. And it's important to listen to your body in these moments so you can get a better understanding of what's really working for you and maybe what's not. Now, if you use an Apple Watch or a fitness tracker like I do, here's a fun little hack. Being that I use the Apple Watch to get an estimate of how many calories I burn every single day, and this is primarily based on how much I weigh, what I'll actually do is keep my weight in the health app the same as what it was before I even left for the vacation. Now, what this is going to do is underestimate a little bit how many calories I'm burning every day, but this is actually going to make it a lot easier to eat in a calorie deficit. So if I weighed 165 before I left, it's going to stay at 165, and this will make it that much easier to be a little bit more calorie restricted. And I found that through this hack, it's just much easier to maintain my weight that I constantly want to be at. Keep in mind, this might suck a little bit, so just be mindful that you will probably feel pretty hungry those first few days, but you're going to be fine. Make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids and listen to your body. Here's the thing, we're all looking at ourselves in the mirror and weighing ourselves, and after you get back from a vacation or a trip, it's like one of the last things you want to do. But you do it anyways. I do it, and I definitely will notice if I am a little bit softer, I'm not seeing as many abs coming out, whatever it is. But I want you to rest assured that a lot of this is just extra water retention. It's not like you've gained a bunch of weight. I don't know what you did on vacation, but I highly doubt you've ate an insane amount of food to where you're putting on some crazy extra weight. So rest assured that you can easily get back to that baseline, and if you follow this process, it will really help you fast track that, and you're going to be right back on it. When I've fallen off my routine in the past, this is where, from a mental standpoint, it's kept me off of my routine and off of those good habits, because I immediately looked in the mirror, my face was a little bit puffier than normal, I was not feeling very well, so you're just overall discouraged. You don't think you're even worthy of working out anymore, right? It's complete nonsense. Don't listen to those voices. Shut them down as soon as they try and perk up, and I promise you, I've done this enough times. It's very effective. Also, keep in mind, if you've missed a week of strength training, you're not going to lose muscle. Usually you start to atrophy and lose muscle by weeks 2 and 3. So if it's been a week, you might experience a little bit of extra soreness coming back, but you haven't lost a bunch of muscle. So don't worry, you're not shrinking down, you're gonna be fine. So by the time you've gotten to week 2, you should be feeling much better. Usually within a week, I feel pretty much back to baseline, both mentally as well as physically. And now sticking to these routines just feels good, and my reward system is within that little economy. This is where you want to find yourself week after week, is living within this trail of life, where you know the ins and outs of it, you know the harder parts of it, you get the little rewards from that trail, and you know some of the boring parts of it. But this is where you can really be able to moderate life, and this sets you up for longevity, health, as well as happiness. Like for me, when I'm in these good habits, when I'm back to this baseline, dude, I'm freaking excited to work out. I wake up in the mornings and I'm like, dude, let's freaking get this in. And all of these little reward systems are in place to give me those little dopamine fixes, keep me motivated in the healthiest way possible. And again, I'm gonna say this one more time. This is why I stress the importance of routine, especially around those healthy dopamine sources. The more you can have routine around this, and the more you can abstain from those quick dopamine fixes, the better. Additionally, beyond week 2, just simply consider, what are the things that keep you on track? I can honestly tell you right now, the 2 main things that keep me dialed in are my wife, Allie, because we have a sense of accountability for when we're on track and doing the right things, but then also you guys. This YouTube channel keeps me dialed in, because I'm not just gonna sit here and tell you all of this stuff and go live a different life. That would be not fair to you and not fair to me, and just make me a piece of shit. You know what I mean? So all that to say, find the things in your life that set you up with some sense of accountability that doesn't just leave you to your own devices. If you're just left alone to make your own choices in freaking Mad Max land, how are you gonna live your life? Well, friends, I hope that helps you break out of that dopamine slump. Look, I get it. We all get those post-vacation blues. I get them almost every single time. I think at heart, I'm a little bit of an emo kid. That's a story for another time. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. I really do appreciate the ongoing support. By the way, you are freaking amazing, so stay after it. Also, I freaking love seeing your guys' comments. There's so many people that just share their story or say, hey Bryan, you inspired me here, or you inspired me to do this. That freaking makes me so stoked to keep at this. It's an ongoing journey, so leave a comment and let me know where you're at. I would love to hear from you. Additionally, if you need good music for your videos, you probably know where to find it. moodsounddesign.com. It's where I get all the music for every single one of my videos, so definitely check us out. We're linked in the description. And wow, it's just been another fun video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Also, did you like my little tank here? Nice and fresh, huh, bro? Peace out. Peace out, I'm a dude. Well, don't take my word for it. Go try it. And yeah. Now, if you use an Apple Watch, getting a good night's sleep, my goodness, that's the best feeling in the world. Waking up and like, refreshed.